All right. Here we are back again for a new amazing episode of E2E Experts to Experts. So, this is our show where we bring you the world's best experts. And guess what? Today we are going to talk of something which I'm really excited, and we're going to have a master in this, somebody who has overcome challenges since a very young age and yet has managed to get in the top of UK, in the top of her industry, in the top of any type of family dream that somebody would like to have. And the topic of this episode is resilience. And I'm so honored to have today Dr. Preeti, and she is an expert in resilience. So, welcome on stage, Dr. Preeti Basra, and thank you for being here with us, Preeti.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Moses, for having me on. I really appreciate you sort of asking me and allowing me to share my thoughts and views. Thank you.
I believe you're going to add massive value to our listeners and people who are
Thank you.
watching E2E. And as an expert of resilience, I want to ask you this question. What is resilience for you?
For me, resilience is when you are knocked down and you are able to get back up and learn from what happened when you got knocked down. So not just feeling sorry for yourself and thinking, you know what, life's really cruel to me. Actually sort of reframing that and thinking, yeah, I got knocked down. What did I learn from that? And what's that going to teach me when I have to get back up and try again? Because let's be honest, you're going to get knocked down time and time again throughout life. That's part of life, and especially it's part of business. So you have to be used to that sort of knocking back and bounce back up effect, really. So that's what resilience is to me, is to be able to get back up stronger, better, and in a different mindset.
All right. Okay. So resilience for you, in your own words, is the ability to get back on your feet when you have been knocked down. I love that. I love that. And you see, sometimes life may knock you in such a way that you wonder and you say, yeah, but I didn't do anything. It was somebody else's fault. How do you deal with when life has knocked you seriously, but then deep inside of yourself, you say, but it's not me. I'm not the one who did it. It was my father. It was my mom. It was my teacher. It was somebody else. How do you deal with that?
It's difficult, I think, to deal with. I think it takes experience and time because when you're younger, your reflex is to, like you say, maybe blame others for that sort of knockback or knockdown. But sometimes that's sort of a defense mechanism when you're a little bit immature and you just sort of think, well, it can't be my fault. It's obviously everybody around me. It's that, they're the problem. I'm not the problem. So I think to deal with it, first of all, is to try and reflect on, well, what actually is the problem? Like, is it them or is it me? Is it something that's happened? Is it the situation? Is it the people? There's various factors. I don't think I can say this is what you should do. I think it is very much based on what the situation is as to how you would overcome that there. If it's certain people that are making you feel a certain way or doing certain things to you, then I think you need to reevaluate those people and that circle that you have in your life, because that circle is critical for your growth or your failure. So that would probably be my advice on that. It's specific to what's actually happened and the people maybe involved, and whether it is you or the other people.
So you would say that the first thing that we need to focus on is reflection.
Yes, absolutely. Because
Okay.
I think when something's gone wrong and emotions are high, you don't always think rationally. And I think our first instinct is to try and protect ourselves and say, well, it was so and so. It was the other person. But when you take some time, when you've calmed down and you look at things logically, and rationally, you might sort of think, well, actually, maybe it was something that I did, or maybe it was something that they did or they provoked me. So the reflection, I think, is key before action.
It's very interesting because for over 16 years, I was blaming whatever happened to my life to my dad, and I was in a victim state. So I didn't take ownership. But the moment when working with my coach, I realized, wait a minute, I reflected on what had happened, and I came to a conclusion that my dad had done the best that he knew at that time
Time.
with the
Exactly.
tools and the knowledge he had. I I was, as a coach, I was on a further path in my life, and I had the courage of reflection, of reflecting on myself,
Mm,
reflecting on my decisions, and this allowed me to look at a different perspective of my
mm,
dad. So,
mm.
oh, thank you. That's an aha moment for me right now.
Oh,
For
good,
those of
good.
you who are listening and you are watching, Dr. Pretty says one of the first elements of resilience is reflection. And then you spoke also about environment. How does
Mhm.
environment have an effect on resilience?
I I think environment or your circle, whatever you would like to call it, is key because if you're around the right people or if you're around the wrong people, the outcomes are going to be completely different. So, in terms of resilience, if you're, for example, in my situation where I have, say, for example, in one of my situations where I failed my A levels, if I was around people, including just, for example, my parents, if my parents said to me then, if they were to say to me, it doesn't matter, leave it, education's not for you, clearly you do anything right in terms of education, just go and get a normal job and just carry on with that, versus what my parents said to me was that, what do you want to do? Do you want to do this? And if you want to do it, then we will support you 100%. That's a completely different conversation, and my life will be on a completely different trajectory if I had the first conversation that I mentioned, where they say, "Forget it, we're not doing, leave it, go and do something else, just basic," or versus what they said to me was, if you want to do this, we will support you 100%, all the way until wherever you need to get to. We will try and push you as much as we can and support you with that. So environment is crucial in your family life, but also in your friendship circle as well, because again, if you're around high achievers, the likelihood is you will also become a high achiever. But if you're around people that have that sort of different mentality, where it's very much lazy, maybe don't, like, why do you want to go to work, why don't you call in sick, you like sit down and watch TV for the rest of the day. And if that's somebody's life and they like that, that's absolutely fine, there's no judgment there. However, if you are wanting more from your life, where you're wanting that freedom in terms of time freedom, and unfortunately it's financial freedom that's going to give you that time freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's going to come and save you, you need to save yourself, so you need to put yourself in the right circle,
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
my advice. Yeah.
As I always say in my events, I always say that as human beings, we have been infected with the Messiah syndrome. We
Yeah.
always expecting somebody else to come
Yeah.
and save us, someone else to come and deal with us. But the Dr. Pretty right now is saying that in order for you to build unshakable resilience, you need to have reflection
Hmm.
and then environment. Now,
Hmm.
I'm curious, why you, Dr. Pretty, and what makes you an expert of resilience? What has been something that you had to come back from, or something that you had to rise up from and persist, rejection after rejection, situations, and what has been your biggest achievement because of that decision?
Wow, yeah. There's a lot to cover there, but I'll try and keep it really short. So, in terms of what's happened, like what has happened, multiple things have happened in my life, which is why I'm very passionate about resilience. The biggest failure in my life was failing my A levels, and I've always knew what I wanted to do in my career from a very young age. And when I got my results and I knew I'd failed before I got the results, let's be honest. But you have that hope, you think maybe it'll be okay, maybe they'll mark me right. And when I got those results, my world broke, everything crumbled around me, and I felt a failure, not just for myself, for my parents. And I just felt like I'd let them down so bad.
Mm.
And somebody walked into, well, I thought somebody walked into, like, I walked into somebody's classroom, because I went to a resit college to resit my A-levels. My parents said, if you want to do it again, we'll support you. I went to a resit college, and that man changed my life. He he asked me what I need, what results I got, and I got an E in chemistry. Sorry. I got an E in chemistry, and he said, "What would you like to get?" And I said, "If I can get a C," because the offer was, I thought if I get I need 2 A's and a B, but I thought if I get a C, maybe they'll let me in to do optometry. And he wrote down on his piece of paper A, and I said, "No, Dave." I said C, and he said, "No, you're going to get an A." And I just thought, no one's ever believed in me. No teachers ever believed in me. And he's saying to me, and I just thought he's obviously maybe paid to do that, to try and uplift you. And we sat my A levels with him, and he brought me out of my shell, and I got an A. And that transformation changed my life, because I realized that no matter what obstacle that I come up against, I need to focus my mind, and if I believe that I can achieve it, I can achieve it. And then I'd say about maybe 5, 10, 8 years after, I went for a job interview. I found out I was pregnant, and I wanted to work closer to home. And I finished my PhD at a university that was about an hour away. So because I was pregnant, I thought, well, after I've finished, not finished, as I've had the baby, then I'd like to work closer to home. So because of that, I applied for this local optician's practice, and I went for the job interview. And I thought, well, I won't tell him I'm pregnant yet, because I don't want him to sort of not give me the job. And I met the gentleman, and he said, "Yeah, I advertised for a job. However, I've looked at your CV, I've met you, so I've spoken to you for quite a while now. I want you to buy my practice." So I was just like, okay, really strange, because obviously I'm an optician. I know how to test eyes at this point, but I don't know anything about business. And then he sort of showed me that little glimmer, and he was like, this could be your life. You could do X, Y, Z. This could be yours. And I went back home, and I spoke to my husband, and I was like, he's offered to buy the practice. And my husband was like, we've got no money. And I was like, I know. I said, I know, because we've never planned for anything like that. I've got no business aspiration at all in my life. But we started sort of to seriously consider it. And then the following week we went back, and we said yes. And I've got no idea why we said yes. But then I think part of me was Dave's voice in my head saying, "Pretty, if you can go from an E to an A, why can't you do this? Why can't you do this?" So 10 years later, it's been 10 years this year since I
So
bought the
just pause a moment.
practice.
Just pause a moment. For
Yeah,
those of you who
sure.
are listening and watching, look at this. There was a terrible moment where you failed your A levels, and there was embarrassment. You were ashamed. There was blame. There was guilt. And how many of you listening or watching, you have been in a situation where you felt embarrassed, ashamed, you felt not worth it, not good enough, and moreover, you felt that you let down the most important people. And when you're a teenager, the most important people are your parents and the social status with your friends. So the level of embarrassment is 1000x, not 10x, it's 1000x. But yet you managed to step on somebody else's belief in you before your belief kicked in.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much, Pretty, because you have been so inspirational. And for those of you who are watching us or listening, I believe you felt that level of emotion and that level of authenticity. She really went back to feel that moment, and she got emotional. And Pretty, this is so powerful. Thank you for allowing yourself to be so open, because this is going to inspire so many people who are watching us and who are listening us. And by the way, if you're watching us or you're listening to us and you think that somebody needs to listen to this, please click on the button and share it out there, spread it out there, and follow us and subscribe to our podcast and our page. So going back to your story, you stepped in the belief of this gentleman, if I'm not wrong, it's called Dave. And then you didn't know how to do it, but then that voice. So you changed your narrative.
Yeah.
And now what was
Definitely.
looking impossible became possible. So what
Mhm.
happened when you purchased that? You became a business owner. So go
Yes.
ahead.
It all went to pot straight, pretty much. After a few years later, bought the practice. The owner said he was going to stay on, he didn't, and I had a 5-month-old baby, a new business, and I'm the early optician. So things were hard, really hard. The first sort of 3 or 4 years were traumatic. Been emotionally abused, mentally abused by the patients. Didn't realize that side of business before I joined. I just thought that I'm an optician, I just test eyes and then they'll buy some glasses. And unfortunately, but that's not how a business runs. And that's my naivety and ignorance. So it was really bad the first few years, and
Mm,
the profit and turnover halved within the first couple of years. So although I bought a profitable business, I had to take out very large business loans to pay it, secured against my parents' house. So there was a lot of pressure on me. So I thought, I failed my A levels and I've disappointed them then. And
mhm,
now they believed in me to a certain extent to allow me to secure their house against this business. But then this business is now failing and it's all on me. So that was tough. And I knew I wanted to have a family and I knew I wanted to have more children. So I'd had my first or before I bought the business, and then I knew I wanted 3 children minimum. And then it was juggling that, being a female business owner when the previous owner was white, male, older, and I'm female, younger, Asian, and that was massive hit to sort of my self-esteem and self-confidence. Really, I wouldn't describe myself as a confident person to start off with anyway, and that was very difficult. But then what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say. And I had to dig deep again. I had to think about Dave's voice, and he always used to say to me, have the courage of your convictions. And I just thought, I need to have the courage of my convictions here. And I've decided to put myself in this situation. I've also put my parents in this situation, and I've put my children in this situation. And the only person that can get me out of the situation is me. And so I did every course going. I sort of understood business overnight. Basically, I had no choice. I had almost an MBA within sort of a week to try and figure out what do I need to do to run a business. So that was very difficult. But then once you've turned it around, which I did, and now I have a 6-figure business, it's so easy then to replicate a model into a different industry. So then I went on to have 2 further businesses, and in completely different sectors, not in optics at all. And I realized that I really enjoy being an entrepreneur, and I never described myself as an entrepreneur until recently. And then I thought, I've fallen into this. I'm the accidental entrepreneur, but would I change it? No. Each failure along this decade journey of business has taught me so much. And if I didn't fail, I wouldn't be the entrepreneur I am today, and helping other females sort of step into their entrepreneurship journey.
wait a second. You said something which sounds like a cliche. We
Yeah.
all listen about that, but especially there are out there some women, especially female, because as men, we are driven by testosterone. We
Exactly.
take bigger risks.
Yep.
We take huge risks. We
Yep.
are not afraid. Also, because there is a stigma out there that you are a man, go ahead and do it. Go ahead
Mm.
and do it. And sometimes there is not enough reasoning and we
Mm-hmm.
just jump on things.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, females tend more to reason. And when they reason, they tend to stop, paralyze, and park.
Mm.
But you have said something really important. If it wasn't for those failures, I wouldn't be the person that I am right
Yeah.
now. So you
Yeah.
managed to, as an expert of resilience, you managed to dance with your fears, number
Yeah.
one. So my biggest takeaways are you managed to dance with fears, you managed to learn from your mistakes, and you managed to embrace failure.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
these are my 3 biggest takeaways from this part of your story. So now I know because I have been following you, and that's also one of the reasons why you are here as an expert of resilience. Now you are kind of somebody who is on a mission Why are you in the mission to inspire and empower female entrepreneurs?
Just because I think I never saw anybody that looked like me and did what I was doing back then. And I know social media has changed so much since then. But then if I had somebody that looked like me and did what I was doing, I would feel so much more seen and heard. And I think there's so many aspiring entrepreneurs out there, and they're thinking, they see things that I've done or colleagues have done, and they think, oh, she must be special, or she must be lucky, or she must be XYZ. But then I'm not. Like, as you can see, I am an absolute normal person, not very academic, not very intelligent. But what I have got is that drive and ambition. And I just want to reach out to those people who are the younger me. If I could go back to myself 20 years ago and tell my younger self the things that I know now, I feel it's my duty to help those girls that are now 18, 19, 20, thinking, could I do that? Could I be an entrepreneur? Or, and open that discussion in their mind. And I just want to see more of us win. I want to see more of us present. And I want to sort of look around and see what I wanted to see when I was 20 years old.
All right. So basically, you are saying that you'd like to be the Dave that was for you, but you be the one for
Exactly.
other people there.
Exactly.
Oh, wonderful.
Having that belief and having someone sort of believe in you. And I think sometimes it's that one comment or that one conversation or that one meeting that can change somebody's life. And I'm not saying I'm going to change everybody's lives, but if I can change one person's life, I've won at life.
Absolutely. And just for me to understand, and also our audience to understand, what's next for you in life and in
What's
business? What's
next?
next?
What's next? There's always something next. So I'm constantly thinking of, well, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. So I have a whiteboard at home that I sort of write on regularly to sort of say, what's my next path? So over the next sort of year, I'm wanting to share my story and journey sort of further and further afield. So I'm speaking at events this year, and I would like to sort of move into maybe the international speaking arena to just share that journey that I've mentioned, because I've only just touched, it's the tip of the iceberg in terms of what have been the challenges in entrepreneurship and life, to be fair. So that's sort of what I'm aiming to do, and just to expand my reach and expand my my sort of connect, sort of tell the world basically of what it's like to be me, and how you should step into your sort of power in a way.
And this is absolutely noble, and I believe that life supports you when you decide to support life. So
Yes.
this is the first step, and um, as Zig Ziglar says all the time, you can get everything you want in life as long as you help others to get what they want.
Exactly. Yeah.
And choosing to be a person that makes an impact,
Yes.
automatically income will follow up, because
Yeah.
that's going to be just a natural consequence.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Imagine you have on your left the 8-year-old Pretty, and you have on your left the 80-year-old Pretty.
Okay.
Now, what would the Pretty of today tell the Pretty of 8 years old? First question.
Wow. I think she she'd say to her, I told you not to worry. I told you to believe in yourself. And you see, like, you can believe. If you believe in yourself, you can achieve your dreams. And that you're blessed.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, don't need to be sorry. We love people. We in this podcast we like to talk with experts who are authentic, and thank you, because we feel you, we see you, and that's what makes you also a resilient expert,
Mhm.
because you go tap deep into your heart. So thank you for this moment.
Thank you.
And what would the Pretty of 80 years old tell the Pretty of today? So imagine you're having a conversation with the pretty of 80-year-olds in the future, and she's talking to you right now. What would she tell you right now?
She'd probably say, could you just have stopped at like at 40? Like, why did you need to just keep doing more and more and more stuff? Like, my knees are hurting, like I don't sleep very well anymore, you know. I think you should just say, like, you know, maybe we should have just took it all in, you know, took it all in basically.
All right. All right. Thank you for that. That was really
No
powerful and
problem.
helpful. And and what would you like to, as a final encouragement, what would you like to share to people listening to us, especially to female audience out there who may be juggling between business and family and trying to open, and they don't believe in themselves and they're struggling, they have had setbacks. What would you like to share with them as final touch point?
I would like to sort of say that hopefully after listening to this podcast, you can see that it's not plain sailing in business, but it's also not plain sailing in motherhood either. And you choose your hard, and things will happen in life, and it's how you sort of pick yourself back up and move forward. And often there'll be some people that'll just say just give up at that point, but then if you give up that point, can you look at your 80-year-old self and look back and think, do you know what, you it was great that you did that? Or will you look back at from your 80-year-old self looking back and think to yourself, do you know what, why didn't I pick myself up and move forward, because my life could have been so different. We're not here for a very long time, we're here for a very
Mm,
small amount of time. So make those moments and seconds and memories count, is what I would say.
okay. Wonderful, powerful. And how can people find you? Would you like to share with us what your
Of
social media
course.
is, your website?
Yeah, sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn, so that's where you'll find me. If you look on sort of Instagram and stuff, I'm not very active on there. So my LinkedIn is always open to anybody that's wanting any sort of just a soundboard, any advice, anything like that. I post very female centric and empowering content on there. So you can find me there. And I also do have a top tips ebooklet that you can subscribe to via my LinkedIn. And also there's a copy of my website address where you've got all my sort of socials and things like that attached as well.
And by the way, for those of you who are watching and listening, just go on the section of description. You are going to find this amazing gift that Dr. Pretty is giving you. It is an amazing ebook, and this ebook can allow you to also become a master of resilience. And I guess we are gonna hear a lot about Dr. Pretty. And Dr. Pretty, you are welcome for any other time you want to jump
Oh,
in,
thank you.
join in with another topic, because
Thank
we
you.
felt your heart, we love your heart, and thank
Thank
you
you.
for all the gold nuggets you shared with us. And by the way, thank you for opening up your heart to us. We don't take it for granted. And at E2E Expert to Experts, we love to deal with experts who are coming from a heart point, because that's what's missing. That's what makes the difference
Mhm.
in
Thank you.
business
Thank you.
and in life.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Moses.
much.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed sort of this session, even though I've cried. Thank you. Thank you for making me cry.
Yeah, crying is a bonus. Listen, my clients know this. Each one who comes to speak with me in a coaching session or anything, we go deep. And
Yeah.
my wife says always that, Moses, you are kind of a healer, and she always says, please, if the ladies have makeup, don't make them cry.
I
But then, do you know what? It's
know.
not me who makes them cry. I mean, it's the power of
Yeah,
creation, because
of course.
um, as an expert, you are an expert. We are here to serve, and
Mm,
sometimes when we get into a service mode, we need to connect to our hearts, and that's the highest form of service. So
mm.
thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching us and listening to us. If you liked it, share it, give it to somebody, and follow us, subscribe, and make sure you get engaged with Dr. Pretty Basra,
Thank
our
you.
resilience expert. Thank you so much, and see you
Thank
on the
you.
next episode.
Thank you.